So we know that the school board has a policy in place about the possession of weapons in schools, but there's an exception to weapons under the control of law enforcement personnel and items approved by the building principal as part of class or presentations. So, in light of the issues involving gun violence that we've seen recently, do you think that the policy should change to not allow any weapons in or around schools by anyone?
That in itself is a challenging question, and it's somewhat situational. I would prefer not to have any guns in schools. Yet I realize for security purposes and safety purposes in some environments that having someone that is armed may be appropriate. But my desire would be in terms of self-governance that we would not have to have armed individuals in the school at all.
Recently, we have put in place the initiative that any weapon that is found by a student, on a student, with a student, is confiscated. And so we have not been lenient in that at all. And the beautiful thing is that other young people will tell you when another young person has a weapon. And so it has not been police agencies, it has not been even administration. It has been other young people who will notify a teacher, a staff person, another young person, a principal, that they have seen a weapon with a child. And so I will certainly look back at that. But I think recently we have tightened that policy up, that any weapon that is found by a youth, on a youth, or with a youth is confiscated immediately. And there are certain things that are done with that youth, as notifying the parent or the guardian, and that child is not allowed back into classrooms. So that policy has been tightened up recently, very recently.
So I speak first to the principal and see what their community is saying. So that's kind of like a survey to find out if everybody in the district feels the same way. And for the percentage that does not like it, then I want to talk to them. For instance, case in point, as I said, I was a Mary Grove graduate. So I spent, oh, by the way, that's Mary Grove in the back. I meant to say that. And the reason it's there is because had it not been a Mary Grove, when I graduated from Cooley High School, my family was too poor to help me go to college. And so Mary Grove gave me the 4-year tuition, and I lived on campus. And so I'm forever indebted, even though it's not a college anymore, it's a school at Mary Grove, K through 12. And I'll talk more about that if we get a chance to. And so what I want to say is that at Mary Grove, if you will remember, there was some gun violence, maybe back, 2 months ago, some children or a young person came in with a gun and we didn't know. Mary Grove's community and family believes that they should not have metal detectors, okay? That there's got to be enough police persons present to perhaps, talk with kids when they're coming in or to do searches or whatever. And so they will not get those metal detectors. That's their decision, okay? So I have to respect that. I can say, well, I'm the vice president. I want everybody here to have metal detectors. That won't fly well with the principal or the people that attend that school if they don't agree with it. Gun safety, I'm very frightened about the things that are going on with gun safety, but there's a process that we go through, and then we have to develop policies that speak to that. So I'd have to listen to my board colleagues, the superintendent, and that principal to make that kind of decision. Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that context around the question of guns in schools. And the policy currently allowing for law enforcement to have guns in schools. I will respond by saying no guns in schools. That is the optimal solution for all of us. And in particular, we know that the board did an excellent job at revising and updating the student code of conduct to be more toward restorative practices versus kicking students out of school and other things. And my preference is that we work with the school security guards, the parents, and the administrators to find out whatever alternatives there are to not need guns and or excessive force in the classes. One, I think this will lead to for all of the students, trust with police and law enforcement that are here to support schools. And so by not having guns, because if you pick it up, people will use it, or if it's around, people will use it. It's important to make sure that we deter any feelings of fear that could come into play for our students. And so that's my perspective on. I believe that there are other ways to address issues in a system that our youth, quite frankly, didn't create. So we can figure something else out.
Teachers, for the most part, because I am a teacher, for the most part, teachers don't want to carry weapons. They don't believe that's their role, is to be a police officer carrying guns or any type of weapon like that. So I don't think, as far as the teachers go and the other staff members go, that that's a big issue. The issue is whether or not the security staff should have guns. And so for that, I think what we should do is look at other measures of security before we bring in the guns. But I do believe that we need some form of protection for our community and our kids, faculty, and staff inside of the building and around the building. So I know this might seem like kind of an escapist answer, but I think at that point, the best answer I can give you is we need better security. And I would refer or defer to some of the things the parents see that they would believe that would be useful to have and not to have. Because after all, we are here to serve the community. So I would not make decisions without having parent input and community input at all.
Just as a follow-up, DPSCD just sent out a robocall stating that they will be investing money to bring police officers back onto school grounds in the start of the fall semester. So do you agree with this decision? And if not, where would you like to see the money instead?
I agree with the decision to the extent that in the city of Detroit, we are currently going through a wave of aggressive activity, violent activity. And we have to ensure at all costs that our students are safe, that they feel confident that they're safe, and so that they can have a healthy.
I do know that law enforcement, some law enforcement officers do have weapons, not all, and none of our security personnel have weapons. And so you will see a security officer, hopefully, in every school, but you will not see a law enforcement officer in every school. And so I think that over the last year or so, we have eliminated a lot of the actual Detroit Public School Community District Police from the schools, but they are on property. They are driving around the community, but security officers do not have weapons. And they are in every school.
Again, great questions. And I think there's a lot of context around that. What I will say when it says school grounds is that outside to help with transportation and whatnot. And so I would be interested in understanding the context of when we say on school grounds, is that outside of the school, right? Because the first question was about weapons inside, and I adamantly say, no, we can find other ways to address the issues. Is there a better way that we should use the money? Of course. I've talked about this and continue to say that, one, we need to retain and support our educators. So we always need to do what's best to make sure that there's equitable pay as well as professional development and opportunities for our educators to come outside of the classrooms. We also need to be able to provide books I can tell stories of when I was in school and even now and thereafter, and even currently talking to parents and students about how some of them just do not have books. Additionally, technology is key. I always like to say that the youth of today are born with digital assets in their hands and devices. We have to provide technology. So yes, certainly there are better uses for funds than adding additional police to the grounds of the schools. I think there's so many more interventions we can do before we bring police into school matters when it comes to our youth.
So that's a question that could possibly get you in trouble. But my gut level is that we need safety in the world that we're living in right now. So it's my job as a board member to look at all of what the research says and to protect every child. So I believe there's funds that come for student achievement, funds that come for extracurricular activities. I believe that we can have a relationship with the Kresge Foundation, with Kellogg, to try to get some additional funds for staffing so that we can have extra teachers on the, on the roster. And I believe that through Title I and 31A, we could maybe determine another way to spend our money as long as it equals increasing reading and math achievement. So I guess the answer to that is that until you present to me a reason why we should not have police to help our children be safe, then I'll take the best way or the best approach. And it is for me that we protect our students. So if that means police officers, I would have to do that. And so I know some young people don't agree with that, but I've been in this business for a long time. The one thing that I don't want to have happen is someone come down the street and just start shooting and we don't have protection. So I hope that doesn't upset anybody, but I'm just telling you, I'm on the real. Until I get something better, my job is to protect you. Okay?
When I was on the school board, we did have our own school police officer department. We did have that. And you need to know, though, that even though we had that, we had a parent advisory committee. We had a community advisory committee for that board. So it was not just police officers running around doing what they wanted to do. The community and parents were on that board. So that's probably the best answer I can give you. And if the community believes that would be a good way to go, then that would be what I would do.
Okay, thank